Item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Headley.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Pawelczyk. Here. Alderman Stanley.
Here.
Alderman West.
Here.
There's a quorum present.
Next item is the invocation led by Pastor Ray Gurney from Cross Creek Baptist Mission, to be followed by a pledge of allegiance from Alderman Headley.
Let's bow. Heavenly Father, thank you again for a gorgeous day. We do want to thank you for our wonderful city of Green Valley. These that lead and head up so many different positions, ask you to give them wisdom tonight as they make choices. And as always, I know they look out for our best interest. We ask you to watch over our children, especially, keep them safe. And God, I pray for everybody that serves our country. They serve us here at home as law enforcement. Those who just absolutely sacrifice time with their families for so many things, and hospitals and all of those really areas of need that is so critical to our nation. We thank you that we live in the best country ever in this world. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
See no changes. The next item would be proclamations, recognition of veterans. I'll have Alderman Headley and Alderman Johnston step now forward. If you're a veteran in attendance, can I please have you come forward so we can recognize you? Get a nice picture.
Your Honor, may it please,
Yep.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
City of Green Valley, Missouri proclamation, whereas with honor and distinction, generations of servicemen and women have taken up arms to win our independence, preserve our union, and secure our freedom. And whereas as a nation, we must ensure that every veteran has the chance to share in the opportunity he or she has helped to defend. And whereas across our country, veterans who fought to protect our democracy around the globe are strengthening it here at home. Once leaders in the armed forces, they are now pioneers of industry, pillars of their communities. Whereas their character reflects our enduring American spirit, and in their example we find inspiration and strength. And whereas we recognize the sacrifice of those who have been part of the finest fighting force the world has ever known, and the loved ones who stand beside them. Whereas we will never forget the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice, and all of those who have not returned yet home. And whereas this day and every day we pay tribute to American sons and daughters who have answered our country's call. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City of Green Valley Board of Aldermen and I, Mayor Mike Todd, do hereby proclaim the week of May 26, 2015 as Veteran Recognition Week, dated this 26th day of May 2015. Mike Todd, Mayor.
Your phone and address the board, and please give your name and address for the record. Do we have any citizens who wish to address the board this evening?
Nancy Totten, 309, 317 Front Street. I am collecting coupons, and anybody that does not use their coupons, they can even be expired. We are collecting these for the military commissaries. And if anyone would want to bring them in, leave them, I'll pick them up. Because evidently, like in Alaska and places like that, you know, even the commissaries are expensive. And I have a mother that is sending food from Missouri to Alaska because it costs so much for those young people. Just thought I'd throw that in, add to my collection of collecting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman West. Any discussion, or I have a second? Second, Alderman Johnston. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Seeing no previous business, new business, or presentations, we'll move on to ordinances.
Bill B 15-12, first reading. An ordinance by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, authorizing the city administrator to enter into the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Municipal Supplemental Agreement Number 1. First reading, Bill B 15-12 is on for 2 readings tonight. Thank you.
Mayor, I recommend we accept, ordinance B 15-12 for its first reading, and bring it back for its second reading by title only.
I have a motion from Alderman Johnston to approve Bill B 15-12 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, I'm just going to have Mr. Murphy go over this quickly. It's just a supplemental agreement, more housekeeping item than anything.
Yeah, staff was contacted by MoDOT, and when they were going through doing their basically project audits, their financial department realized that the supplemental agreement was never signed. It's for the North Outer Road, so this is the old project. And basically, that was a $3.5 million project that went over, and the agreement at the time was MoDOT was going to pick up the extra money. So basically, this agreement puts that in writing and gets it signed, because right now in the books, it looks like we owe, quite a few $100,000. So this is kind of just a housekeeping item that will get everything lined out, and that's why we've asked for 2 reads. Just figured as quick as we can get that signed and over to them, the better.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0 first, second reading, Bill B 15-12. It will be ordinance 2362. An ordinance by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Municipal Supplemental Agreement Number 1. Second reading, ordinance 2362.
Mayor, I recommend that we accept, or approve bill number B 15-12, making it ordinance number 2362.
I have a motion from Alderman Johnston to approve Bill B 15-12 for its second reading, making ordinance 2362. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Arnold. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Arnold?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Stanley?
Yes.
Headley?
Yes.
Palacheck? West?
Yes.
6-0, Mayor. Jamie. Resolution R-15-41. Resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Jackson County, Missouri, the distribution of combat funds in the amount of $62,000 for the 2015 fiscal year. Resolution R-15-41.
Mayor, I move that we accept resolutions R-1541 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve resolution R-15-41. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
This is just part of the tax money collected from one of the combat on.
Yes, sir. Just take the disbursements.
Seeing no additional discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Unanimous. Jamie? Resolution R 15-42, which is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to purchase a 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 extended cab 4x4 work truck for the Community Development Department's Public Works Division fleet. Resolution R 15-42.
Mayor, I recommend that we accept, resolution R 15-42 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Johnson to approve resolution R 15-42. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Palachuk. Any discussion?
Yep. I still have a problem with us buying all these extended cabs. We probably have more extended cab pickup trucks than the city of Blue Springs. I just don't see I mean, they say for hauling tools, we pay $2,000 or $3,000 for an extra for a pickup truck to haul tools I mean, how often does it haul tools and how far does it have to haul them? Every job in town here is within 2 miles of the office.
I'll let Ken talk about it, sir.
Yeah, in this case, that, with it being the superintendent, a lot of times if he's going out to a site, it's him and it could be a couple other people. The idea being for the trade-off of cost from the regular cab to an extended cab, we think that trade-off is good instead of having to take multiple vehicles to a site to look at something. I mean, that's kind of the approach that we've taken with it.
What are they carrying in a truck that they can't put in the bed of the truck? I mean, we got trucks that have toppers on them, we got trucks that got boxes on them. I just don't see the need of the extended cab for...
Yeah, the ones that actually have the boxes in that, those are all just the regular cab. The tools could be put in this, obviously, but it's for people, too. It's not just the tool side of things.
I could add that my experience with extended cab trucks is, I never particularly cared for a pickup truck because whenever I had something to take with me that I didn't want to get wet to sit in the back end, it had to either be in the seat or full board to the other side. So anyone needs to ride with you, now you got to figure out what to do with all that. The extended cab does give you the ability to keep plans. I know he'll have to carry around his briefcase if he needs to take a suit coat or change whatever. It's in the back out of the way when he's taking people out to see things or going to meetings or whatever in their carpooling. It gives them that ability to keep that stuff in without having to unload it or whatever and not have it in the back of the truck.
My opinion is extended cabs are a waste of money. I just don't see, I mean, I see all our extended cab trucks running out with one person in them. And I don't see them needing to carry that many things to the job sites around here.
What, you had the price difference there, Ken?
I don't have that in front of me. This is what when we went through budget, this is what we priced. And actually, this particular one, we ended up getting for less than what the MoDOT bid was, by going through Moley. They had one that they were willing to sell cheaper. I think we saved $400 from the MoDOT bid even.
One thing I would like to point out is that it does cost more, Alderman Johnston, but we also see that in the resale of it, similar to four-wheel drive. You don't recoup 100% of the cost, but you can usually count on 60 to 70% of four-wheel drive or extended cab on the resale.
Extended cab, I mean, the four-wheel drive, I see that recovering money. It's extended cab, you know, you pay $3,000-4,000 more for it, you might get $1,000 more for you to sell it. I just don't see the justification in spending the extra money.
I think the $3,000 or $4,000, maybe you're thinking a full crew cab. I don't believe the extended cabs are that much.
I'd be curious to see what the difference is.
Okay.
I just have a question. I don't know about the extended cab. Does it have it where they can put their tools or whatnot in to keep it locked away so it won't be stolen or taken? What is it, just to ride someone, or can you put tools and then keep it locked?
It'd be either. I mean, you could use it for storage or people, but yeah, it would be locked.
Okay, so is this one then, is this just the Trying to think how Chevrolet does it.
It's,
Is this like a three-quarter door, or is it
it'll
slide
be
door,
4
front
doors,
door?
but it's
To
the
a side
small,
door.
yeah. What we have a Ford F-150 right now that's the extended cab, and it's one of those where it pulls open the other way,
Yeah.
or you have to have the front door open to, what Chevrolet has gone to now, the extended cab is 4 doors, but it's, I mean, it's a lot
Three-quarter door
smaller.
or whatever.
Yeah. But they all open the same way.
Any additional discussion or questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
It's 5-1, Alderman Johnson against. Thank you. Resolution R-15-43, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to purchase a 2015 Traverse for the Community Development Director position. Resolution R-15-43.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor, I recommend we approve, resolution R-15-43 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Johnston to approve resolution R-15-43. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
Yep. Who's getting this SUV?
This one will be mine. If you remember, back at budget time, we had a 2004 Dakota, 4-door, that we were supposed to have gotten rid of last year, but we kept that, with taking the interim city administrator position at that time. The, half-ton truck, that was the director vehicle, and then worked into, his deal as the administrator. That truck went with him. So we're still on the 2004 that was supposed to have been gone either last year or the year before. So that's what it'll be replacing.
Well, but it said the one we currently have is going to admin. What does that mean in,
Where is that, Alderman Johnson?
it was in,
If that's in there, that is a typo, because that will be going to auction.
let's see. I didn't mark what I saw it, but it's going to admin, so I wondered what position admin is.
Yeah, like I said, if that was,
I think it was probably, what you saw was that the old community development vehicle
went to
moved with me
admin.
to the city administration position.
Yeah, it moved to city administration.
So that's the old vehicle, which used to be my truck as the community development director. When I became city administrator, we took that out of the community development fleet and put it in city administration.
Because we didn't have an admin car.
Okay, so then the current vehicle he currently has going to auction.
Yes.
Why do we need an SUV and why do we need the mid-class SUV?
With that particular vehicle, generally, I'm not going to the, job site necessarily. It's going to, whether it's meetings or, things like that. There's usually multiple people involved. It's not just me. That's just what we came up with.
Why wouldn't the car be more practical?
I think you still probably want an SUV for job site clearance, that sort of stuff. I mean, Ken still does go out to the site. I can note this is about $4,000 less than the vehicle that I had in that position.
Yeah. Well, it's a two-wheel drive, so it's not an really an off-road vehicle. Front-wheel drive cars get around just as good as these SUVs. I think we're just spending, whether it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 here and there. I think it all adds up. I think our budgeted 100% is wrong. I think trying to spend every dime of it's wrong. I'd like to see us try saving some money on some things like this, instead of just, spending everything we can.
Is this considered, is this considered a mid-size? Is that what?
I'm not sure what the
What would be
Traverse
below
is,
this?
Ken.
What-
They have the Tahoe, they have Traverse, and then they have the Equinox.
What's the size difference between Equinox and Toronto?
Not much difference. There's a little difference, and the creature features probably more than anything else. either one's, sufficient for probably what we need to all hold 4 people comfortably. But like I said, if, you know, if this is for transportation, meetings, things of that nature, I think a car is more practical than an SUV.
I have to agree.
And they're substantially less.
Do you have the
I mean, if that ain't
MoDOT
budget,
bid list handy by any chance, that lists all the stuff?
I do not for that, no.
Just for the,
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the reason we're going with this is that's what was put in when we went through the budget process. That's what was thrown out was a Traverse, so that's what we've gone after.
because the MoDOT list will have cars and everything on it, correct, so you can compare prices?
Yes. If MoDOT doesn't, it might not be MoDOT, that might be the MARC bid actually for cars.
Okay. Yeah, I understand the concerns, Alderman Johnson. I hear what you're saying. I would just say this is what we discussed at budget time. And this is what we
Budget
prepared to
time,
move forward with.
There wasn't much discussed at all, it was just, you know, kind of a big package that let's approve it. And, looking at them individually, I think, you know, $25,000 is a lot to spend on a car that's gonna be, you know, for what use it's gonna get. I think the car's a lot more practical, or the smaller SUV. I said, you know, time with the size of our fleet, we saved $2,000-3,000 a car, we've saved a lot of money in the long run. I realize there are times when we have to have them, but I just don't see the need for an SUV here.
Are we able to get cars like the federal government through GSA at all?
There's,
I don't know. I mean, I'm like him, at the government, they buy small cars, no matter if you're traveling 4 or 5, they don't buy trucks, so unless it is a work vehicle, just for us to travel business-wise, they have Ford small vehicles, the Echo type, they don't have big trucks. They feel like chucking out of that is a waste. It's a lot of money. Just to go to meetings.
Tell us what you'd like, Board.
I'd like to see us price something else.
You want to table this motion now?
I'd table this one and let's check prices on others.
I got a motion from Alderman Johnston to table
I have to agree.
Resolution R-15-43. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman West. Any discussion?
I think we need to have these conversations at budget time if we're not gonna follow through with some of the stuff we committed to staff on. I mean, if we were strapped to the bone, I could see, you know, really restricting this, but if we did this in a planful manner, I don't see that there's an issue.
It was in board now, the other board was willing to spend everything, I'm not willing to spend it.
Can you get us, I guess, off the MARC bid prices for, when we put the traction numbers there, we can compare, do the Equinox, which would be the smaller, I don't know if that would be the smaller, whatever their small size SUV on the market would be, beat the Equinox.
The Equinox would be the next one down, yeah.
Okay, let's do that, and then, I guess, do the full-size car, I don't know if it'd be the Impala, or what it would be on the bid, or Taurus, or what.
I'll have to look, yeah, I haven't looked at the cars.
Okay, so yeah, just get us, and you can send those out to us ahead of time, everybody knows what those prices are, and then we can, then maybe put for next meeting, put it under, this old business for discussion.
Okay.
Then we can get direction at that time. Then you can put the resolution together for which vehicle.
Okay.
We either have to pass the table or to do that.
Well, okay. But that's good, all right. All in favor of the table, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye.
5-1 to table. Alderman Headley opposed. Resolution R-15-44, which is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with Rico Americas Corporation for copier and printer equipment. Resolution R 15-44.
I move that we accept resolution 15-44 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman West to approve resolution R 15-44. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is simply a new lease for the copiers that we have in-house. We are coming up at the end of our 3-year term, which will actually be mid-June. The pricing was priced through U.S. Communities, which is competitively bid. A lot of local governments will use that. You'll see that frequently, actually, in our purchases. Would like to point out that we were able to save $368 per month with this contract negotiation, which is $4,116 annually.
This is a full refresh of the equipment.
Yes. Yeah, complete replacement for a 4-year lease.
Any additional questions or discussion?
Is that maintenance and all?
Yeah, maintenance, toner. The only thing that we pay for in addition is clicks, basically how many copies that we make.
All right. See no additional. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor. Jamie? Resolution R 15-45, resolution Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, appointing Rachel Hummel as the Chamber of Commerce representative to the Green Valley Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors. Resolution R 15-45.
I move that we accept resolution 1545 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman West to approve resolution R 15-45. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Johnston. Any discussion?
Who is Rachel Hummel? Where is she from? I mean, I know obviously here, but I mean, what?
Right, well, she actually lives in Blue Springs, but she's the new executive director for the chamber. She's taking Eddie's place, just simply because, I mean, he sits on the school board, he's on multiple boards, he's the president of the chamber, and essentially this is one thing that he didn't have a lot of time to commit to.
Is hers a paid position with the chamber?
Yes, sir.
Any additional discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor. Resolution R 15-46, which is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Missouri Department of Transportation for grant-funded overtime for work time enforcement program. Resolution R 15-46.
Mayor, I move that we accept resolution 15-46 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve resolution R 15-46. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
This is for traffic control in the work zone.
Yes. When they have a need and frequently there's a situation where they just need a, literally, a police car to sit there for 8 to 10 hours, it would be an all, we'd be all compensated on it.
Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor. Resolutions R 15-47, 48, and 49 are collectively resolutions by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, reappointing Don Kozlowska, Nathan Hayes, and Brad Well to 3-year terms. Resolution R 15-47, 48, and 49 respectively.
Mayor, I move that we accept resolutions number R 1547, 48, 49 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Palachuk to approve resolutions R 15-47, R 15-48, and R 15-49. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley.
Alderman
Oh,
Arnold.
I'm sorry. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor, on all three, 47, 48, 49. Resolution R 15-50, which is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, Missouri, amending the 2014 City of Green Valley Employee Handbook. Resolution R 15-50.
Mayor, I move that we accept resolution number R 15-50 as read.
Motion from Alderman Stanley to accept resolution R 15-50. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman West. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, just to give you a heads up as to what specifically this relates to. As we were going through our insurance renewals this year, which will be upcoming, one of the things that the Benefits Committee identified is that we have a tremendous amount of liability with the current policy that we have. And the way that the current policy is written is that we pay out sick time based off of your years of service. Not wanting to short anybody that has that benefit right now, what we are suggesting is that moving forward in the future, starting July 1 of 2015, any employees hired after that point, there's absolutely no payout on sick time. They will continue to get payout on their vacation time, but we will not pay out sick time. And we compared it to other organizations, and there are not very many organizations out there that do pay out sick time.
I would be in agreement for all except retirement. If somebody spends 30 years here, that, and was a good employee and banked a certain amount of, we may need to put a cap on it, but I think that's a benefit for the long-term employee that hasn't used sick leave. It's an incentive for them to not use sick leave, and at retirement, I think it's a way of rewarding them. I agree with the other two that maybe termination and resignation, we don't need to be paying that out. And I don't know very many places that do. But for retirement, I know, including my own organization, that has a program for sick leave reimbursement at retirement for the fact that you haven't used it. So I'd like to reconsider that portion of it, respecting the committee's recommendation, but I think that's one that I think should stay for retirement.
I have something too. I noticed that at my job, a lot of people use their sick leave when they're retiring. They'll take all the sick leave for 6 months, and we're not allowed to hire anybody in that spot until that person's completely off the books. Will that affect you guys in any sort of way? If somebody want to take sick leave for 6 months out, and we can't fill that position until they're literally off the books?
Yeah, the only way that it would is if they actually were certified for FMLA. So if they had a certification from a doctor saying that they needed that time, but that's still only up to 12 weeks per year.
It's only 3 months, and it has to be, they have to utilize their time during that time. 6 months is not an option for them. And also, we don't have short or long-term disability. The only other avenue they can utilize the sick leave is through our donation policy. But that's not to say that there's something in our policy stating that we can't hire during that time that they are off work. The only thing FML says is that we have to hire that person back or bring them back on sick status at a job that is equal to what they have, equal to or better than what they have in terms of pay and environment. So, from my perspective, that won't be an issue, and that shouldn't affect through this decision at all. It should not affect that at all.
Thank you.
Isn't there something in our policies that they have to valid sick leave for?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, they can't just say, hey, I've got this much sick leave, you're not going to pay, I'm just going to take that
Yes,
off.
we're obligated as the employer as well as they are as the employee. After 3 days of being sick, they have to prove to us that they are sick. We also have to allow them knowledge that they can have FML. So it kind of goes both ways, but there's definitely coverage, legal coverage on both sides of that.
I know we discussed this at one point last year or the year before, I think, and that's what made us arrive at these numbers here. One of the discussion points was, well, if you don't do something like this to a degree, and Alderman Arnold spoke to it a little bit from a retirement perspective, does that incent people to take the onesie, twosie sick days every month and burn their sick time? And do the other organizations that you talk to or worked with see that similar kind of pattern?
In the organizations that I worked with and talked to regarding this policy, a majority of them had moved to this in recent years, from 2009 forward, specifically because of the liability that was put on the books. They weren't really seeing an abuse of the policy per se, more than they did beforehand. You're going to have your habitual users regardless of what your policy is. And it's not, unfortunately, a majority of the people in the workforce today don't look ahead and don't see, what they could have if they bank some of this sick time. A lot of what we did in the past with allowing folks to have 960 hours of sick time is because we didn't have short or long-term disability for them. The committee cope is with this savings to eventually be able to offer some sort of short-term disability to our employees. In the meantime, we have our sick leave donation. But to answer your question again, we didn't see a big change in the numbers of use or the abuse of the policy. And from my perspective, we can attest to that in how many people utilize our retirement program, our optional retirement program. Kind of that same mindset, and I wouldn't see a reason for that to change, mindset to change with this change in policy, if that makes any sense.
So basically, you're doing what we're doing here. If we go this route, everything's resets.
Yes.
Beginning of the year, you get X number of sick days that you build up, resets if you don't use them.
No.
No, not for our current employees.
You'll be able to continue to accrue, it's just upon your separation, you wouldn't be paid out for your sick time. So if, for example, in the policy right now, if you're here for 21 years or more, your payout is 50% of your sick time. So if you have an officer with the police department that's been here for 25 years, and they have, it's 960, but let's say 1,000 hours, and say they make $29 an hour, that's $29,000 that the city has in liability for sick time, and to pay that out, you're gonna have that essentially, so you have $14,500. What we're trying to do is, when we looked at the books, we realized we had over $300,000 in liability with sick time that's banked and accrued, and the whole point was just simply to try and tap into some of the savings that you guys are asking for, and make sure that as we move forward, that we're not continuing to build that liability.
And to just note further, it's just moving forward with new employees. It's not going to affect our current employee base at all. As a matter of fact, they can still accrue up to 960 hours. They aren't going to be affected. That was definitely a conversation that we had with the benefits committee. And it was a long and lengthy discussion, actually. We came to the conclusion that for the employee base as a whole, the fairest way to do this would be to just move forward with new employees. Looking at our employee base currently, we don't have many folks that have been with us for an extremely long period of time. Unfortunately, we don't see that changing either. People just don't stay in jobs as long anymore. And so we're taking this as a slow pace and a movement towards something, and not pulling the rug out from underneath anybody, and hoping that we possibly help our coffers a little bit, but in the meantime, still take care of our employees.
I can see it. Oh, sorry.
Great.
I could just see if you rip that out completely.
Oh, it was a fun discussion to have when we threw that one on the table, and we quickly took it back off, but,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a solution from an administrative standpoint. That would be a solution to the problem, but that's just not fair, and we realize that.
Well, I agree with Dale, and I'd like to see it added back in for retirement. Like, make a motion to amend it to that.
I'm so sorry, I can't.
I'm sorry. I agree with Dale, I'd like to make a motion to amend it, it does go to retirement.
Okay. Is there any particular structure you would like to see, or is the current structure something you would like to turn something back to you?
Talking about the payout structure?
Yes.
That all looked good to
I
me.
mean, I would I mean, if you kept it at 50% for retirement, the only thing that you have to do is be careful we need to delineate what retirement is, because we have, once somebody's here for 5 years, they're vested, and say they're near retirement age, they could come for 5 years, leave, and now they won't have that much banked, but you have somebody that's been here for 5 years getting the same payout as, somebody that's spent their entire career with Green Valley.
Well, at 5 years, they're gonna get 0%, if they've only been here between 6 and 10, they're gonna get 10% of what.
Okay, so you're suggesting the exact same
I
structure.
I see the advantage of the longevity and the percentages. 50 is fairly, percent for the 21 plus is fairly, it's kind of high from a lot of what I've seen.
One rate structure that I found was common, if I may, is, taking that down from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. And having your cap at a 25% payout as opposed to a 50% payout, it still shows, that we are appreciating those that are retiring, but it also is just that third leg to the stool that we are already providing them as an employee to our benefit package, because we also provide them 100% payment from our perspective through loggers, and also we offer them optional retirement, and a majority of the time as pre-tax days. So, from that perspective, as the employer, we are providing them quite a bit. So if you want to curb some of that payout, that's another suggestion that we can make.
So then you'd have two scales, basically everyone before July 1st, 2015, everyone after. Is that what you're saying, Dale?
If you don't change it for the ones that are here versus the ones that come after July 1st, it could get confusing for people. And I also see we have more turnover than I'd like to see in all of our departments. So I think even with some of those that are here now, some of that liability is going to go away. Taking the two things with the termination and resignation lessens that liability, I think, significantly. The retiree, whether they've been here 0 to 5 or 30 years, what they've earned under this program, I think is well earned for the service to the community. Typically, we can't pay our employees as well as we'd like to out there all the time, so it's one of those things that one small thank you I think that the citizens can do for the people, in that they've served at a lesser salary in our small community for a number of years, and this is just a big thank you for doing that for all those many years. And I don't want to short those people that put in 20 plus years for our community and really commit to the community to stay that long.
Well, I agree with Jamie's point though too, where you want to set some criteria on what retirement is. Otherwise, you get some 40-year-old that's been here 5 years and he's retiring where it's just 10% or whatever. I mean, that's not a legitimate retirement. That's just a resignation.
Exactly. I think under the loggers program, it sets ages that we can tie onto that same thing with loggers, which is who we get our retirement through.
The only problem you're going to have with that is because loggers is a law enforcement person who can retire at an earlier age.
Yes,
so,
and they're deserving of that as well because of the stresses they go through and so forth. I deal with a lot of the same things, so I know it's different law enforcement versus clerical and the public works, but there's differences in what their job demands as well. So I know it's 50 and 55 for police officers, and everybody else is going to be 62 and 65 or 60 and 65. But that at least lays out timelines for us that are accepted, under a specific program. So it'd be much easier, I think, to defend that.
Okay, so let me try to get this motion then. Got a motion from Alderman Johnston to amend the resolution to include back-end retirements
With criteria.
with the criteria of loggers, meeting the loggers' retirement. Is that gonna work?
Yes, sir.
we will see. How's that for me?
Do we need to,
Why don't you just table this?
do we need to table it where you guys can put it together?
Well, regardless, we'll bring it back to you after,
Yeah, I would probably suggest just table it and bring it back as an amended.
I have a motion taken.
Okay, I got a motion from Alderman Johnson to table R 15-50, second Alderman Arnold. Any discussion? My guess will be, the discussion will be to put that stuff together you've heard from us.
Got it.
All right? Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to table, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right? Next item is city attorney's reports.
Nothing to report, Your Honor, thank you.
Next up is city administrator and staff reports.
We will start with, Mr. Davies.
Mayor and board, just real quickly, Memorial Day weekend is the weekend that we open up the aquatic center for the season. However, we did not open up this weekend. A lot of pools around our area did not, just due to the rainy weather, the low air temperature, coupled with the low water temperature. So, just to kind of give you an update, today was our official day of the pool opening for the season.
Sorry, Mr. Murphy.
Just had one thing, we touched on it at the last meeting, but this Saturday is the citywide cleanup. We've had a ton of interest, if you can go by, phone calls coming in over the last couple of weeks, so I think that'll be a pretty good event. Even if it is, we have a rain date, but even if it is raining some, I talked with staff, we're going to still go ahead with it. The citizens don't have to get out of their vehicles, we unload everything, so they'd rather just go ahead with it, because if we start pushing it off, it could rain next week, and it's kind of a never-ending cycle, so unless there's some serious weather, we are going to go forward with it.
Mr. Ramsey?
We are at the time again where we have to talk about employee benefits and health insurance. At being a small group, we are always last on the list to receive our renewal rates. As of last Thursday, we finally did receive our renewal rates, so we would like to bring those rates to you, but it will have to be a special meeting, so we're hoping to hold a meeting next Monday night if everybody is available to do first. It's a Monday. Sweet, once you want to start it with us on the great state. We can make that happen. We'll take some.
We'll have stale cookies.
I'll take a picture.
No, there we go. Okay.
Talking
That's okay. I'm good.
7 o'clock or
6 o'clock would be wonderful if we all can make it.
On me, huh?
No,
No, it won't be.
early night.
Yeah.
I'm on duty that day.
I'm good with
Okay.
Decorations.
All right,
I'm okay.
you okay, Yolanda?
I don't know. I didn't bring my book.
Okay. I'm good.
okay. It's
Alderman West, if you'll just let me know by tomorrow, that would be good.
okay. Just send. Well, you'll send down an agenda. It's not even gonna say where to go and the agenda. So.
And just to let you know, the benefits committee is meeting with CBIS, our benefits consultants, tomorrow morning to discuss these rates. And that's why we're gonna have our meeting next week, so we can get our information together for you. CBIS will be here to present, as well as hopefully some of our committee members, even though they haven't heard of us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to follow up with you regarding a question that you'd asked me to research. Earlier in the week, you'd asked about city cell phones and stipends, and I think Alderman Stanley, you had a question about it.
Yes, I did.
The mayor forwarded the inquiry to me and asked me to just research from our end what the cost would be for that. The city has a contract with Verizon, and so we just did some research into basically the 3 different things that we can offer. A smartphone through Verizon is $51.45 a month, just like a standard issue cell phone. Alphanumeric text is $38.88. And then the city also offers to its employees, if they're eligible for a cell phone, they can choose to have a monthly stipend instead of receiving a city cell phone. A lot of people do that because they don't want to carry 2 phones. With that, I don't have an opinion whether the board should have it or not. My job was just to crunch the numbers and give it to you guys. So for a smartphone, it looks like for the elected officials, would add about $4,300 a year to the budget. For a standard phone, it would be about $3,265 per year. And if we did monthly stipends, it would be $3,360 per year to the elected officials' budget.
Ryan, if I may add, it doesn't have to be a cell phone. I'm okay with having a phone line here and for me to just check my voicemail. It's just for me, I don't feel like I have my own life. I love being an alderman. I love my first job, but my cell phone should be my own personal cell phone. I shouldn't have to mix my business with my pleasure. That's just for me. I mean, I love talking to the public, but I don't want to receive a call at 11 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning. I would like to have my own sanity for my own time. I mean, this is a job that requires a lot out of me. I'm okay with that, but I do have a life. I would like to have that, you know. So for me, I would like to have my own personal phone separate from my business phone. But I can have a line here. I just pick up and call from 8 to 4:30 or whatever time you guys are open to check my voicemail, return calls back.
Well, and another thing that we could do kind of in that vein is that we've always offered a city phone line for the aldermen. And I don't know how much, when we switched over to the new system, if Alexa talked to you about this much, but you can have a line here at City Hall with a voicemail set up, and you'll have your own dedicated number. And any time that you receive a voicemail, we push that voicemail out into your email. That way you can actually retrieve it through your email, and you're not having to call in and check to see if you have messages. We'd be happy to set that up for any of the aldermen. That's an existing
Either way works
feature.
for me. I'm okay. Either way. Whatever's cheapest. I'm about what's cheapest, so that works for me too.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next up, Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Palachek.
I do want to say one thing. I have probably like Trinidad, I don't know, bombarded with calls, text messages, but I'm not going to say used to it, but I want to say thanks to Ryan, has done a great job. Anytime I feel like I text him or message him every day with a complaint or something, and I feel like I'm being a pain, but he's so prompt about getting back with me, and I just want to let him know I really appreciate that. For a newbie, I want to make sure I'm doing everything right, but you've done a really great job. Getting right back to me when I have a question or a problem, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I got people that give me quick answers. That's the only reason I can do it.
Arnold.
Checking the status of the website. Yes, please.
So, you'll remember that or when I reported on this several months ago, that we had some additional funding that had to be allocated to it for security and to make it accessible from mobile devices. We've been through 3 different proofs of the website. One of the things that you guys decided on was the blue in color logo, still staying with the same style but a blue logo. And it's been very difficult to dial in the right color of blue to where it didn't look just horrible, to be honest. So we've been through several different revisions of the website. I finally, last week, got a link to the website, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you. It's not live. It's just kind of the template that we're going to work off of. Very similar layout. It's just much more accessible and a lot easier to use to get to different areas. The next part of the job, which we talked about in DH just last week, is that we have to now populate the website. I don't know if you go to our existing website, but it's horrible. As far as reading, you can't have pages and pages of information for people. They want, succinct details. If they go to the police department, they don't want to see several pages worth of information. They want the highlights. And we have several pages of information under every tab. So what we're going to do is clean that up. And Krista Claus is actually helping the city with that as her public relations contract. I'm hoping, Alderman Arnold, within the next month that we're going to have a version that we could go live with. It's still going to have to be proofed because we don't want to go live with anything. But I'll be more than happy to share with you what we have.
Great.
Okay. Alderman Headley.
Just one thing. I approached Chief this evening, and based on an email that several of us received, I'm not sure if Alderman Stanley received it, but just about speeding on Duncan Road. Thanks for your response. I'll send an email to the gentleman that sent the complaint in. Let him know. Okay.
Alderman West?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Alderman Johnston?
A couple of my employees have asked about the possibility, they asked about a sidewalk heading over to from our office over to the walking trails, and I said, well, that's a long, long ways away. But they asked about the possibility of getting a bike lane or a walking lane painted on there. And I don't know it's a priority, I just, or, cost it or anything else, if something that's feasible.
On 40?
On
Nevada Drive there?
Optimized there, yeah, because they walk over to the.
You can ask the park board if they want to pay for it. Actually, Ken can talk about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one of the things I can do is get with Rick and see, I'm not sure what the width of that road is, but, see if that would be feasible to do a on-the-road bike lane. And I could come back to the next meeting with cost of what that would be to stripe that.
Stanley?
Just, one of the veterans asked when she left, could they get a copy of the picture that was taken? That's one of the things that.
If they left their information for the proclamation, we're gonna put a picture and a proclamation in their form, and we'll give that to them.
And someone else asked, is there any way that the Grand Valley website can put up the local businesses that have Grand Valley licenses to, I guess, express to the citizens what services they offer on the Grand Valley website? I don't know if that can happen or not, but someone wants to know for the local business, can they put like automotive, we do repairs, or, I guess to promote their business? That's something someone brought up.
We kinda have something.
Yeah.
We have a link
I was gonna say that we provide all the business licenses to the chamber.
I asked him about
For that
that,
reason.
and he said the Chamber of Commerce doesn't.
What is that? We have almost
Anything
400.
Oh, if you're a member of the chamber, that's what they put it up.
Okay.
But
So I know they have tabs for each thing.
They have been requesting lately copies of all the information for the businesses that have license within the city, so I'm assuming from that.
They're probably trying to get it, I don't think they're on the website, but I know the chamber members are under tabs.
There's also Mayor, you'll have to help me, is it Grow Green Valley? Is that the local initiative through the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, that's
That they've been doing? That's something that we'd probably lean on them for, and be happy to follow up with them. The only thing is, it's just from our business license database, I mean, we have over 400 businesses within Green Valley that we have occupational licenses for, and it may be somebody's running Avon out of their house when it's, legally permitted. So to put it up there, then you have to use discretion about which ones, and then if you do that, then people are gonna feel left out. It's kind of a mess that I'd rather the chamber deal with.
Well, then, yeah, two more things. I didn't get the chance to, I meant to say for you, to the mayor, you guys both, the mayor, you are pretty fast on all those issues that's on Facebook. I give you kudos to that. The gentleman, it's the little area I talked to you about with the big hole for the movie theater, that area over
Oh,
there?
yeah,
Over this way, by Matthews.
yeah,
Is it this way?
it's that way.
It is that way.
That way.
It's that way.
Where they dug the dirt out for the movie theater.
Yeah, so I appreciate you guys for having to come and cut the grass. They was very excited about that. But one of the things that I was just emailed to, he was stating that the owner, I guess they spoke with the guy cutting the grass, and the owner the owner said he wasn't gonna do anything with the tennis courts. Is there something that he has to maintain, or can he just put them up there and let them just deteriorate? I mean, they're concerned about it.
You talked to some about tennis courts, right, over there, the guy that called me?
Yeah, I did, because I guess there's been kind of a change in, members of the makeup of the HOA, I should say.
Well,
And the confusion was whether or not the tennis courts were actually part of the actual Creekside Village development. They're not. They're actually part of the area that's owned by SG Property Management, which is the lake. And with that, I mean, you're supposed to keep the weeds and that out, but we don't really have any, I mean, the tennis courts don't have to be there. So as long as it's not unsafe, we don't really have anything that I know of in the code that, to keep the net up or to keep
or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's been basically an open, there's no lock on the gate. You can just walk in and
Over there.
use
And what
it.
they're saying is that there's no upkeep with it, though. It is cracks all through it. And, I mean, they're like, if they're not gonna keep it up, then give it up. If they don't want to sit there and keep deteriorating, and, the kids can't even play on it anymore, it's no point of it. It's just like, it's going down. so they're like, get rid of it if you're not gonna keep it up.
One thing that I actually did, and I can't remember the gentleman's name that I talked to, but I've talked to him a couple times, since they're getting into the whole HOA side of things, was actually making an offer for that, to get that included in the actual Creekside Village, because my guess is that Paul doesn't really care if he has the tennis courts there or not.
When was this? Because I talked to the new president of the HOA, and I personally...
I don't think this is the president. I think this is just a gentleman that lives there.
I don't know who the president.
Well, the guy that you call his wife is, she's taking that role on. She just took it and
Well, I know
he doesn't
one
want to give it to him if they want it, and he doesn't want to give it to him, and that's the big feud. It's like if he's not going to...
He doesn't want to give it to him?
They're trying to get it from him.
So that was an assumption on my part. I thought it'd be one less thing he had to maintain.
Want to give it, and they're like, give it to us, and we'll maintain it, but he doesn't want to give it up.
Okay. Well, it seemed like a good fix.
It's kind of bad. It's a lot of bushes around there. I mean, the grass doesn't look good. The neighborhood's really nice, and it does put a big damper. How it's just, it's not nice.
We really require him to do anything with it? I mean, I don't...
It was part of the land acquisition when he bought the backside of Creekside, so something that the developer of Creekside put in. And I would imagine that the current developer that owns it right now, he obviously doesn't have an interest in keeping it up. I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's something that we could deem as an attractive nuisance, but I think we'd have a really hard time, for example, with the Octagon building up there. We'd have a hard time forcing him to take the tennis courts down when we can't get him to take the Octagon down.
Suggestion, if he doesn't want to give up the land, maybe he would be willing to lease it to him for $1 a year or something like that, if they take over maintenance on it. That way he could still take it back if he had a use, because that might be he wants the property in case he has a future use for it. But if he did a yearly lease thing with them having the maintenance on it, that might resolve the issue.
Yeah, and I don't know what their level of communication has been. I've sent them all the owner info because there's another empty parcel there that they've been looking at. But I don't know how receptive he's been to any of that.
Yeah, they said that he hasn't. I mean, like I said, I went over there myself several weeks ago, and they're also concerned, and I talked to Mir about it, they were concerned about the big lake where their kids can just go down in the water and drown, or the fact that they got these big boulders of concrete and equipment like somebody's still working, has been over there that hasn't moved. And for them, it feels like, hey, we can't, if we want to sell, who would want to come buy anything over here when it looks like this? You know, it looks like it's unfinished work. You know, but I know when I talked about the grass, you guys went and cut it. They were very pleased with that, but...
Could I say something? You brought that lake up. I was over there the other day. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that the gate is closed at all times? Because the gate was sitting wide open the other night. You know, the gate that goes along that little pond. Well, I'm talking about over by Matthews now. I'm talking about that.
Okay.
That gate, who maintains the safety of that gate? I mean, as far as keeping that closed, do you know?
Are you talking about directly north of the school?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the school, unless he came and mowed, because that's still the school property.
Do you know?
It was on a weekend. But that gate was wide open.
Because I believe it was just kind of, there was an agreement there, there's a little square that was used for detention for the movie theater and that, but I think it's still under the school's name, their school district's name. So I don't know if somebody did some maintenance and maybe just forgot to latch that, or...
Yeah, we can certainly follow up on it.
Because I'm always thinking of, you know, kids in water.
Is there any requirement that it be fenced or gated?
Oh, there is one there, so I...
But I understand, but we don't have any kind of requirement that it be fenced or gated, then nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, there's no requirement to have detention fenced off.
I guess at least we go through and look at it, see if there's anything we can do about it.
And I think if there's a gate over there, absolutely, we can contact the property owner, whoever it is, and just say, hey, you know, it's brought to our attention that this was left open, you might want to keep it closed, just...
And the tennis court areas.
I was going to say, we can go look at that and we can try and get in contact with Paul and see if there's any interest one way or the other in doing something. Not that we necessarily can push him one way or the other, but maybe get a better idea of what he's got in mind for it. Because I don't know, you wouldn't be able to use it for anything. I mean, it's in between two detention areas. So I don't know what the value would be there.
Detention or retention, they're actually holding water.
Mm-hmm.
That's retention.
Yeah, 'cause just to the east of, the tennis court was the original pond for Creekside Village. And then on the west side is the area that was dug out when they used it for fill.
They have two ponds, on
Mhm.
the side of it, and I saw some guys fishing over there when I was over there, so people come over there and fish.
If there's water, somebody's gonna fish, or try.
Fish over there. My last thing was, and you were on this too, I say I love how you're on top of things. I was, asked about the soliciting for the veterans this past weekend, coming to people's houses. What did the police actually do? They said the police did come out, and they saw them talking to them, and they wanted to know what actually happened to those people.
Chief, do you have any?
The first I was aware of that. They made a call on a suspicious solicitor?
No, it was four. It was two girls and a woman. One was pregnant, and they came to people's houses asking for money for veterans.
What happened, it was actually on the weekend.
I think it was Sunday. Yeah.
Somebody messaged me on Facebook.
That was in Valley Hills too. I didn't, in my neighborhood.
I'm not on the residence page anymore. I got myself off of that. But apparently it was posted on the residence page in Valley Hills, that somebody was going around in a white Durango. 3 women and a man.
2 women and a male.
Soliciting for, I guess we're selling packages.
Yeah.
For the veterans. And somebody put on there that they felt threatened by one of them, and it looked like somebody was about ready to pull a gun. I mean, it was pretty.
Well, what they had said was that they came to their door, and when they went in their house, I guess to go get some money, the people were inside of their house.
Right.
And they
were being spotted all over Green Valley, and somebody messaged me. I just gave it to Jack because I'm like, and he called somebody, here at the department, and they were right on it.
They said they were.
They were right on it, they found out where they were, and told them to leave. So, and they left.
That's what happened.
Well, of course, people said, some guys said the police was out there, but they said they wanted to know what actually happened. So they just get a slap on the wrist, talk to, I guess, did they get arrested? I don't know, but they saw the men out there, they wanted to know what happened.
Someone has to come and fill a report out.
The company did have they had a website and all that stuff, but you have to really, tell me if I'm wrong here, but most of the time people go door to door soliciting something, they have to have a permit, don't they?
They're supposed to.
Permit. So I used to tell people, if they can't present you a permit, tell them to go away.
I found the quickest way to get rid of people when they come to my door is ask for a permit, and they start stumbling. I say, well, let me call City Hall and check on your permit for you, see if you have one. Then I never see them again.
Well, I guess one of these packages was a pretty hefty amount. I don't know. They said one of the packages was quite a bit of money. One of my friends actually donated some money, and we gave him a check and everything, but she's got payment on that check today. So,
someone, of course, asked me, oh, you work for the federal government, is that how they ask for money? No, they do not. The federal government does not send anybody pregnant at all to go collect money. That's not how they do it. So I wouldn't donate towards it,
Especially on Sundays.
No, they wouldn't do that. But, so her story is what happened. That's it.
Go with her story.
Okay.
And I only know that because they messaged me, and they wanted me to post something, and I said, I'm not going to post something without knowing the facts, and so I gave it to Jeff, and he took care of it, and as far as I know, they were told.
So I'm going to say, Ms. Pelichick took care of it. That's what she said, but and the only thing I have, the last thing is, and you talked about that, I answered back to the MoDOT question about that road.
Oh, the outer road?
Yes, and I gave the answer back, and it still
outer
wasn't.
road that goes to the industrial park up there.
Yes.
Complaining about safety. I was kind of giving her a look at that. Right now, that's MoDOT, so.
Right. Yeah, it will be relinquished at some point to the city.
I didn't say that to them either, but, because they kept saying, I didn't want to get that started. I just kept saying it's MoDOT. It's like, well, why is it MoDOT? I'm like, I was just told it's MoDOT. So I said, maybe you guys, they said, we can all come to the meeting. I said, you're more than welcome to come to any board of Aldermen meeting if you like, but you guys may want to just call MoDOT, and maybe if enough of you guys call MoDOT, then maybe they'll do something about it. But she said the road is just really, really
It's pretty
bad.
shape, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about this brought something up that I saw in there, and you commented on about that, no trespassing signs down in Cross Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we putting up no trespassing signs on what's
Well,
Or Gary, what,
Swallow.
if we, Mike said that we didn't want SUVs in there and there'd been some problems back in
well,
there.
Swallowtail actually put them up.
Yeah, it's not our
okay.
property.
Okay,
It's the property owner is the one that put them up.
he is property owner now.
Mhm.
Okay. I was thinking we were just trying to keep SUVs out of there when if we put up.
Well, that's why he put, we had said something to him because we were getting so many complaints about the cars being back.
Yeah,
I
we were
mean, I don't
getting-
think he minds people walking
Well,
and
I
stuff
see,
back there.
why don't we talk to him about putting up a sign, restricting SUVs or
They
something?
said they did, but somebody took them up on Facebook. They said he did have those specific
I
signs. They
think
said
the
somebody
city had
messed
some
them up.
ATV signs at the one time, didn't we, when it was ours?
Somebody said they took them out. Somebody
Cross
removed
Street.
That's never any problem at Cross Creek, it's disappearance of signage.
Yeah.
And just deviant behavior and activity, not only SUVs, but
them. Yeah, I heard drugs,
But I mean, if there's
smoking.
signs up there, because Mike's message was to them, well, they don't want SUVs back there, and if you're walking back there and not causing any problem, there's no trouble. Where's the no trespassing sign? I mean, it's.
I think in order for us to be able to enforce our trespassing ordinance, I mean, that's literally what the sign has to be clear and concise, that
We
no
never
trespassing.
indicated that they wanted us to monitor, if we get a lot of calls down there, and I said, to enforce that, a person has to be posted somewhere. That's the first phase. He also said he put a relatively cheap signage up there because they always get damaged or stolen.
Mhm.
That was necessary, and they've given us, authority to, as staffing allows, to do some, patrolling back in there and just make sure.
But Mike's comment was, well, if you're law abiding and you're not on an SUV, you're okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're not.
Well, it's fine what he thought.
Well, I think the intent is, yeah, to keep folks out of there, yeah. Yeah, that's the whole
It's tough
point.
because you could literally put a sign up the size of that flag to say the do's and don'ts. And so you try to be concise and all encompassing at once, but
Well,
inevitably it is Swallowtail's problem.
Yeah, but I mean, if Mike's telling them, hey, it's okay as long as you're law abiding, and they go back there and they get busted for trespassing.
Do we recognize in the city the same as they do in the rural area where the purple paint on fence posts and trees, is a sign of no trespassing allowed?
No,
I've never known that to be recognized.
not within the city.
In the rural area, because of signage issue, people tear the signs down or whatever, the landowners paint their fence post or paint their tree or whatever, the corners of their property and along their fence line, and you see purple paint, you better not be on it, because it's a $50 fine.
Oh, man.
Jackson County Sheriff can give
Part
you.
of the purpose of the sign was, it gives officers with a counter, kids down there drinking or using drugs or other stuff or tear things up. It gives the officers a little bit of, heat that there was a warning there and that there's an opportunity to post it if it's just unsized and, a little lacking with the ability to enforce. And they give us full authority on any kind of criminal activity to go in there and notify anyone or.
So, well, that brings up the point, that property adjacent to my place where the idiots cut through, it's a vacant lot, but just because it's not posted no trespassing, I mean, a vehicle still doesn't have a right to drive across there and I'm void of penalty,
That's a property damage.
Yeah.
If it's a private property,
yeah.
that is based on the complaint of the lawful owner.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to have a no trespassing sign to keep people from driving on it.
Well, that
Just, that would be a property damage versus
Yeah,
a trespassing, yeah.
All right. Next up, mayor's report. I have nothing additional to report. I don't think we have any for an executive session unless one came